Looking for music that lifts your spirit and fills your heart? Experience the powerful sound of the Tabernacle Choir at Temple Square. Now streaming on all your favorite music platforms. Find the Tabernacle Choir on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, Amazon Music, and Pandora. Let the music of the Tabernacle Choir at Temple Square inspire you today and every day. Whether you're at home, in the car, or on the go, enjoy the beauty of their world-renowned sound anytime. The Tabernacle Choir at Temple Square, streaming now.
BYU, BYU.
It's Cougar Sports Saturday.
Bear inside the 5. Bear into the end zone. It's a touchdown.
Cougar Sports Saturday, a presentation of KSL Sports.
Rob Wright the third. Just won it for BYU.
BYU Sports Talk by Cougar fans for Cougar fans. Here are your hosts, Mitch Harper and Nate Slack, on your legacy home of the Cougars. KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM and 1160 AM.
We're ready for fall camp next week. I've tried to coin the term Camp Kalani for years, but it's never gained traction. I just thought, Camp Kalani, but
it's a nice alliteration.
But it's never really caught on.
Why stop? We'll keep it going.
I kind of just don't like the fall camp term because it's just scorching hot.
It's going to be like 106 tomorrow. It doesn't feel like fall as much as I'm trying to make it feel like fall.
I keep telling myself, football season is here, so there's a brisk air. No, it's scorching hot, and
that's my AC.
there's only a brisk air because I went down to the basement, the man cave, and it's just super cold down there. But other than that, everywhere else in the house is just hot, and everything outside is super hot. But
so are you just sticking with fall camp? You're going to try to coin some other phrase?
Training camp, but that feels more NFL.
It does feel more NFL. We're also kind of trending that way, so maybe that's where you got to go.
Maybe training camp. Maybe that's the term we go with. So I sometimes will throw in a Camp Kalani to see if it ever gains traction. There was a time when hashtags were all the rage that I would always use that in my tweets, and people would be like, what are you tweeting? Hashtag Camp Kalani. I'm like, hey, it sounds good. But anyway, whatever you want to call it, camp practices are starting next Wednesday. And we thought we'd take the time to break down the position groups on each side and rank them. Give our top rankings here and lay it out for the offensive side. Because this was actually a more difficult exercise than maybe I would have thought.
Yeah, so the whole debate comes down to, are you looking at the depth of the team? Like, are you looking at the entire position room, or are you just looking at the starter? Because there's a huge difference there. So initially, I was going to go with a different position group, but we agreed we're going to be ranking number one is going to be the running back room.
I feel like a little nervous even saying that, but LJ's that good.
LJ's legit, and that's why we went with the running back room, is because of LJ Martin. The question mark is beyond him.
Yes.
So if he gets banged up again, they're not going to be the best unit on the field. But I think the running back is there just because of LJ Martin, what he did last season. One of the best single seasons in BYU football history from a running back. And maybe that's a conversation for another day, just where that stacks up all time because of the competition he was going up against. But man, the running backs, LJ is going to be really, really good this season. I'm super excited to see him at full strength again, because from the Iowa State game on, he was not at full strength despite that performance he had against Cincinnati, for example.
And when you rank these position groups, it's hard to argue with a guy that is the best in a Power 4 conference. That's LJ Martin. He was the best in the league, and he's the preseason Big 12 Offensive Player of the Year. And it was crazy at Big 12 Media Day seeing him operate, and I'm thinking, this guy should have a bigger media following than he's getting. Like, this is the Big 12 Offensive Player of the Year preseason pick, and he was that last year. And it didn't feel like he had the following that he probably deserved. I will say the guys behind him, Sione Moa, I am optimistic on him, but it's just, again, the injuries. And I think also with Sione, he's only had 47 carries. There's still been a light workload. There's so much added to the aura of the K-State performance because they were a top 15 team, and it was such a huge win, and he just burst onto the scene, and he was awesome. He is a great athlete, and I believe in Sione Moa. I just think, though, I just hope he can stay healthy, because that was such a Scary Dill last year. He almost had his leg
He almost
amputated.
lost his leg.
Like-
and in the fact he didn't even miss the entire season. He came back and played in the Big 12 championship game.
I don't even know how he did that. That kind of blew me away, to be honest. But 47 carries last year for Moa. I would assume he's RB2. I would assume.
Yeah.
And then, then it gets kind of interesting. Devon Eka, Preston Rex. Devon Eka, if you're not familiar, true freshman out of Lehigh High School. I think he's interesting. Logan Payne's in there as well. Jovesa DeMooney got a little banged up in spring ball. Where's he at physically? But again, the star power there with LJ. And also, I think, too, the focus of that position group and running the football. It's so important. And I think it also ties into position, too, on our rankings of the offense. Quarterback, Bear Bachmeier. Yes, the depth behind him is a little bit questionable, but Bear was so good. 3,000 yards, more than 500 rushing last season. Freshman Big 12 Offensive Player of the Year, and Bear comes back. He looks better than ever.
Yeah, and he's such a threat on the ground, too. And you wouldn't look at him and say that he's a threat running the ball, but he absolutely is. He was fantastic last year, passing the ball and running the ball. He had 11 rushing touchdowns, 15 passing touchdowns, so responsible for 26. And he was just clutch, man, from the start. And what's crazy to me about that 3,000 passing yard stat is the fact that through the first few games of the season, he wasn't asked to pass the ball very much. And so this is really the Big 12 schedule is where he was able to rack up those passing yards. I'm looking at his stats now, and his passing yards against Portland State, he played just over a half, 97 yards against Portland State.
That's right. Forgot that.
And then he threw for 175 against Stanford, and then 246 against ECU. So it was really from that ECU game on that he really was able to turn it on. But he had 325 against Georgia Tech. He had 307 at Iowa State. He had 351 against West Virginia. Like, he can sling it, but he can also tuck the ball and run. We saw that big run that sealed the win against Utah, breaking tackles and hurdling guys. He's so fun to watch. And what's really exciting is just the quarterback position looking in the future as well, because Bear's going to be on the team this year. He's going to be able to run it back next year. Next year, Ryder Lyons gets back from his LDS mission. And the quarterback room, it's nice to have that be a strength for BYU, as it has been for such a long time. It feels like in the 2000s, or maybe early 2000s, there was a little bit of a lull. Brandon Doman had a little stint with the 49ers, and then you had to wait until John Beck really came on the scene in like 2004 with Austin Collie and Todd Watkins. But, man, BYU is just pumping out quarterbacks, it seems like, again, with Jaron Hall, Zach Wilson, Keaton Slovis.
Yeah, he's been in the NFL.
He's been in the NFL for a few years. Bear Bachmeier is going to be keeping that trend, I believe. I think he'll be an NFL quarterback in the future, but it's nice to have him on BYU's roster this season.
Real quick on Bear, he had 147 carries on the ground last year. Do you think that's going to be the number again this year? Should it go lower?
I hope it goes lower. The reason it was 147 is because BYU was out without a running back for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So I hope that number drops down. As long as guys like Sione Moa are able to show they can produce, I think that number will be closer to probably 115 to 130, because I think he's still going to run the ball. You need to make sure that he's still running the ball, because that's such a big threat, especially when you have tight ends that BYU does, when they have the receivers. It's so tough to gauge and to project what the receivers are going to do, because there's so much potential there, but you don't want to put too much in potential. You want to be able to see it on the field. So I guess we'll see how that goes.
3 on this list: offensive line, 4 tight end, 5 wide receiver. And again, this focus kind of on the starters. The tight ends are going to be really good. Keep that in mind. But if you're going to focus on the starters, the top end is going to be running back and quarterback. Just quick thoughts on the O-line, tight end, and wide receiver.
Yeah, tight end. Tight end is the one that I thought was arguably number 1 on the team, because I think
with depth,
Roger Salipaga and Walker Lyons are going to be fantastic. I think they're both steps up from Carson Ryan last year. We saw what Carson Ryan did. He didn't produce a whole lot at Utah or UCLA, but what he did at BYU last year was able to get him drafted. And I think it's going to be awesome to watch 2 tight ends who I think are better on BYU this year. Let's flip over to the defensive side of the ball. I think this one's undisputed. The best position group on the defense is going to be the linebacker room.
No question. Not even a debate. I think that's the strength. That's BYU's bread and butter. Anyway, it's just, I think that's hands down. I mean, you look at Glasgow, Uluwave, Sialia Serra comes back. Jake Clifton's going to be good. Ace Kafusi. Braxton Lindsay, Nusi Taumai-Peau, Braxton. I mean, you can go on and on. Miles Hall. That linebacker room is stacked. BYU is in a great place there. That is hands down number one for the Cougars.
So you got to think they're going to be probably rolling out 4 linebackers at a time. Because how do you keep them off the field?
I think you got to maximize that room as much as possible. I think that's where, again, you kind of naturally go to like a 3-4 look and get 4 linebackers out there all times. And the nice thing about some of these linebackers is they're big enough, too, and they're athletic with that size that you can do a lot of different things with them, kind of in the mold of what you did with Jack Kelly. So,
well, especially the fact that Kelly Poppinga is a linebacker himself. He's been able to coach guys like Kyle Van Noy and Fred Warner. He's an excellent linebacker coach. He's going to make sure that those guys are in the perfect positions every single play. I've got no concerns at all about the linebacker room.
Rounding out the rankings on the defensive side, secondary, number 2. So we kind of combined it with cornerback and safety. I'd give the edge between those two, safety and then corner.
Yeah.
And then 3 defensive tackle, 4 defensive end. But again, I think that this team, there is not a just outside of wide receiver. And even there, you can talk yourself into some excitement on some of these guys about being some really productive players. I feel pretty good about all these position groups, Nate. I think it's going to be a really good football team this season for the Cougars, and that's why there's such high expectations. And after, back-to-back double-digit win seasons, 23 wins the last 2 years, this team's got a high floor, and they've got also a high ceiling potentially if they can continue to level up this season. And it all kicks off with fall camp coming up on Wednesday. Let's take a break. On the other side, reports emerging in the past hour that Taysom Hill could be looking at a new NFL team. We'll hit on that.
Make game day yours. Tickets, food and drinks, stats, and streaming. Everything you need is in the Utah Mammoth app. Download today and make game night easy. Download on both Android and iPhone. Tusk Top.